You're listening to the Cool Audio Podcast, your escape into the world of stories, sounds, and imagination. Whether you're driving, chilling at home, or just need a moment to unplug, we've got a story just for you. So sit back, relax, and let the journey begin. Be it Melody or Justin. Neither of them had expected that this would be their last encounter. There would never be such a chance again. Sometimes fate could be said to be deep and sometimes shallow. It came and went quickly. Justin followed what Melody had said and turned around, leaving the airport. Melody carried her luggage and walked towards the gated door while crying. She was not wearing a mask, had no assistant or manager. From then on, there was no superstar Melody, only the dance teacher Melody. After returning to Kyoto, Melody had already decided to find a dance school and become a teacher. She was going to lead the most ordinary life and be the most ordinary person. After Justin left the airport, he sat in his car instead of leaving. He didn't say anything. He just stared blankly for a while until Melody's plane streaked across the sky. Justin was actually a smart person. He knew who liked him and could tell. He knew about Melody's feelings for him, but he pretended not to know. He also knew that if he asked her to stay and agreed to be with Melody, this young lady would not leave. Maybe they might even get married quickly. However, this wasn't Justin's style. I don't love you, so I won't hold you back and drag you down. The older he got, the more he understood the true meaning of love. When Justin looked at Melody, he only felt that she was lively and cute, but he didn't feel like his heart was racing or his body was electrified. However, if he took out Chloe's photo, he would immediately feel different. Therefore, he still followed his heart. Since he had been willful for so many years, he would be willful until the end. After the plane left, Justin drove back to the mansion and even made supper and cooked some instant dumplings. "Boss, you're back. I just cooked the dumplings." "I'm not eating." Justin was listless. He took off his jacket and fell onto the sofa. "What's wrong? Did your heart become empty after Big Melody left?" Anne smiled cheekily. Justin was speechless. Justin raised his hand and thought his boss was going to hit him. However, he realized that he only reached out to touch the back of his head. "She's already gone. Stop spreading rumors." "Boss, Melody is so nice. Why didn't you agree to her request? Even someone dim-witted like me could tell that she asked you to take her to the airport to create an opportunity for the two of you. You actually really sent her away. Are you really stupid or are you faking it? Go away. Don't talk nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense, really. Melody is really quite good. Even if she doesn't want to be a celebrity and feels pressured, she can still stay behind the scenes. Even if she doesn't do anything, you can still take care of her. I think Madam likes her a lot. She was hoping that there would be some love sparks between the two of you and was thinking of getting a grandson or something sooner. Look at you. Didn't you completely screw things up? She has already gone back to her hometown. How would you now flirt with her?" "Love sparks? What about popping popcorn? Stop nagging. She's gone. Besides, it's good that she's gone. How can I let her stay? I might not give her happiness." "What are you saying? You have money, status, and looks. If you can't give Melody happiness, who else can? Who else has the right to give her that?" Anne was really flattering him with these words. "Anne, I might be going on a long trip soon." Justin didn't want to continue discussing Melody with him, so he suddenly talked about going out. "Where are you going?" "I don't know where exactly." Justin thought about how Jack didn't tell him the location. "But you have to come with me. I don't trust anyone else." "Okay," and made an okay gesture. "Don't tell my mom," Justin reminded him again. "Understood." After Melody left, Justin was a little disappointed, not because of anything else, but because it was such a pity. Melody was very talented in acting and was very popular. Now that she had left, the contract penalty fee alone was astronomical. However, Justin didn't tell Melody because she had made a lot of money for the company. He woke up the next morning and went to the company. He immediately instructed the finance department to start organizing Melody's report. At 10 a.m. in the morning, the financial director personally sent Melody's financial situation to his office. "President Cooper, Melody has made $150 million for the company in the past 6 months. If she leaves the entertainment industry now, she will have to pay $80 million for breaching the contract." Isn't there still 70 million left? Justin asked. But our company invested 68 million just to support her. Justin sweated. So there's only 2 million left. That doesn't even include her team's salary. Normally speaking, her team, manager, and assistant should be paid by her, not by our company. Forget it. Don't be so calculative. How about this? Go find Melody's bank card and transfer 5 million to her. 5 million? Isn't it 2 million? The financial director thought he had heard wrong. I don't want to go into the details with her anymore. She has been working hard for the company for the past 6 months. Consider it a personal gift from me. After you transfer the money, tell her that this is the rest of the money after the company has made its calculation. All right. The financial director truly felt that President Cooper was a good person. He had never cut his employees' salaries, not even Gianna or Emery. Even if they were to fall out with him, he would not deliberately look for trouble with them. There were not many bosses like this. President Cooper, Melody left just like that. Who's going to support Imperial Star now? Although she was in charge of the finance department, she was still worried when she saw the money tree leave. Isn't Kira back? Tell the public relations department, from today onwards, we will promote Kira's comeback. Okay. At the headquarters of the GK Group. 3 days later, Jack received a call from Liz and drove to her and Granny's place. When he entered, he realized that the room was a little dark and the curtains were drawn. Don't be scared, Brother Jack. My grandma is performing her ritual. Jack sat quietly at the side. Granny was still dressed in shabby clothes, her hair white. She first placed a doll flat on the table. Then she muttered some unknown incantation. Next, Granny bit her middle and ring finger and dripped her blood on the doll. Then, she started chanting again. Following that, a magical scene appeared. White smoke started rising from the doll's body as if it was about to catch fire. Brother Jack, this is a ritual that we are doing using the things we took from the monster's body. My grandmother spent 2 to 3 days drawing talismans inside and outside of the doll's belly. We can control her now. After Liz finished speaking, Jack immediately took out his phone to look at the villa's surveillance footage. He saw Layla lying in the living room, rolling around on the floor and screaming. Her stomach was faintly emitting white smoke. At that moment, Jack felt a chill run down his spine. The power of sorcery was actually so formidable. It could remotely control the person that one wanted to. He then looked at Granny perform the act as she gently tapped on the doll. The doll stopped moving. Is she dead? Jack stood up anxiously. No, she is under my spell and is in a deep coma. She has lost consciousness. In that case, she can't go out and harm people for the time being. No matter how capable she is, how fast she is, or how much strength she has, she can only quietly sleep like a living dead. Excellent. Jack finally felt relieved. Then he sent Noah a message. Old Ace, I have Layla under control. You don't have to worry about murder cases now. Brother, it's all settled. I finally don't have to work overtime tonight. Of course, Noah was grateful. Then Granny stood up, looking a little haggard. Granny, are you all right? Every time my grandma casts a spell, she becomes exhausted. She just needs to rest for a while, Liz said, and poured a cup of tea for her grandma. The old lady sat next to Jack. Dawson, I'm going to cast the Connected Heart spell to help you find your wife. You've worked hard, Granny. Jack was grateful for Granny's help. You don't have to be so polite with me. It's just that there are a few things I need to tell you in advance. The Connected Heart spiritual worm is very overbearing. When it moves in your body, it will cause the pain of breaking heart and bones. You might have to suffer some physical pain. That's not a problem. Just do it, Granny, Jack said firmly. To him, not to mention enduring a little pain, he could even take his life, as long as Chloe could come back. Granny nodded her head and continued. There's one more thing. Once the Connected Heart spell is cast, your lives will be linked together. If you die, she'll die. If you live, she'll live. Jack never expected this result. All he wanted was for Chloe to live well, now that they were linked together. If something happens to him in the future? As Jack thought about it, his mind was in a mess. Granny continued, so you have to think carefully. Granny, is there another way? Jack asked. What do you mean? The kind where my wife can still live after I die? I don't want her to bear any risks. Jack said what he was thinking. No, it's the only way. Okay, Jack nodded. Granny continued. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but was your wife the only woman you had all these years? Was she the only one you had intimate contact with? Granny's question was vague, but Jack was smart enough to understand. Yes, Granny. My wife is the only woman I have ever touched. All right, that's easy then. You don't have to be afraid. After you find your wife, both of you just have to bite your fingers and drink the blood from each other's bodies. The spiritual worm will naturally crawl out. This is the cure to the poison spell. You have to remember this. Yes, I'll remember that, Granny. Good. Then we can start now. The old lady finished the tea in her cup and stood up slightly. Granny, you're tired from casting spells. You should rest more. Jack couldn't bear to tire the old lady out. It's fine. Come on. I hope you can find your wife soon. Jack nodded gratefully. Liz, bring me the world map. I want to do a precise positioning analysis, Granny instructed. Yes, Grandma. In the undersea palace on the other side of the earth. The baby was already due, but it still didn't move, making Chloe anxious. She was placed under house arrest in a white room and was extremely frustrated. I want to see Lynn. Chloe ran to the door, opened it, and spoke to the expressionless maid in a long white dress. I want to see Lynn. Did you hear me? Chloe shouted. At this moment, Messiah walked over. What's wrong, Miss Chloe? Messiah, I'm due for delivery, but the baby isn't moving in the womb. I'm a little afraid. Will the baby be in danger? It was said that pregnant women were emotional and sensitive. Chloe was a doctor with much authority in the OB/GYN department. She often saw children who were born past their due date. The longest she saw was a woman who exceeded 15 days. It was all normal. A natural childbirth was like how a melon would fall when it was ripe. They had to wait for the baby to either move or the water bag to break or wait until there was blood. These weren't big problems to her, but she still panicked when it was her turn. Chloe had also forgotten that she was a doctor and had learned about obstetrics. Miss Chloe, don't worry. How about this? If you trust me, I'll take you to do an ultrasound, okay? An ultrasound? Do you have it here? Chloe was surprised. Lynn had never taken her for an ultrasound in all the time she had been here. Yeah. Messiah didn't seem to want to say too much. He only asked if Chloe wanted to go. Then I'll go with you. I want to see if the baby's okay. How many days has it been, Miss Chloe? 12 days, including today. Chloe frowned. 12 days? It has been a while. Don't worry, follow me. Messiah gently comforted Chloe, supported her, and led her through the long corridor to a spacious room. To Chloe's surprise, the tunnel was constantly changing. Every time they walked, it was different. Although they all looked the same, the destination was different. Some of them went to the main hall, or Lynn's room, as well as the place where she had dinner with Fiona and Dad that day. Chloe had a good memory, but she still got lost here. She knew that something was definitely strange about this place. However, Chloe didn't ask. After all, Messiah wouldn't say much even if she asked. Chloe was surprised when she walked into the room. This place was just like an OB/GYN clinic. There were all kinds of equipment here, and they were all the most advanced ones. There were a few pieces of equipment that she had only seen in photos. They were all extremely expensive medical equipment. She heard that they were the latest ones developed this year. But Lynn had all of them. Messiah, what is Lynn doing with these? Is there a pregnant woman here? Chloe touched the familiar equipment curiously. No. Messiah denied it casually. He still refused to say more. Miss Chloe, please lie down. I'll do it for you. I'll do it myself. Although Chloe knew that Messiah had never hurt her, she was still worried and decided to do the scan herself. Then, she would print out the results. Okay. Messiah smiled and turned on the ultrasound machine, handing it to Chloe. This should be the most advanced ultrasound equipment. There was no need to apply the cold ointment. It had a rain shower head-shaped disc that could be pressed against her belly, like a vacuum disc. Chloe released his hand, and the thing slowly moved around on its own. It was a magical thing. Suddenly, the child in her stomach moved. Oh, you scared me. Chloe was a little nervous. The little fellow must have heard the noise and has woken up. Messiah smiled and said, Chloe finally felt relieved that the baby was fine. He fell asleep just now. Look at how cute he is. Can you see it? Chloe was surprised. Yes, this ultrasound is combined with four-dimensional space. We can clearly see the baby's face. Does he have an umbilical cord around his neck? Chloe was a little worried. Not at all. He's smart. He's protecting himself well. Chloe smiled. I'll print it out for you. Yeah, and the photos. I want to see them too. Okay. When Messiah showed Chloe the picture of the little guy, her eyes were wet. He's so ugly. Chloe was actually super happy and sweet inside. He's not ugly. He's pretty. He looks a little like you. That's why he's ugly if he looks like me. It would be better if he looked like Daddy, Chloe exclaimed. But don't all daughters look like their fathers and sons look like their mothers? Yeah, they are like this. Chloe looked at the photo and carefully held it in her hands like a precious baby. Miss Chloe, now you don't have to worry. Let's go out. There's radiation here. I'm afraid it's bad for the baby. Yeah. Messiah accompanied Chloe back to her room. There was no daylight here. Ever since Chloe arrived, she had never gone out and had never seen the sun. Fortunately, there was a clock in the room. She could tell the time and calculate the time passed. On the way back, Messiah helped Chloe to the door. She saw Lynn standing there. She was dressed in a white crystal dress. She was always as beautiful as a goddess, giving off such a distant feeling. Master, Messiah hurriedly bowed. Chloe looked at her warily. Where did you go? Lynn smiled fakely. Master, it's Miss Chloe. Messiah tried to explain, but before she could finish, she was slapped in the face. This was the first time Chloe saw Lynn hit someone. She was fast, just like Layla. Before he could see clearly, there were 2 more palm prints on Messiah's face. Furthermore, judging from the marks, she had used a lot of force. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so swollen. Did I ask you? Who told you to talk so much? When did a slave like you become so bold? In an instant, Lynn was back where she had been standing. It was as if she had not hit someone at all. Master, I know my mistake. Messiah quickly knelt down, terrified. This was the first time Chloe saw Lynn lose her temper. Her mood swings were too erratic. Why did you hit Messiah? I asked her to bring me there. Feeling guilty, Chloe stood in front of Messiah, afraid that Lynn would slap her. If a slave doesn't listen, I'll teach them a lesson. Chloe, did you do an ultrasound? How does the baby look? Lynn smiled and extended her hand towards Chloe. Do you care about any of this? Of course he's my grandson. For some reason, every time Lynn smiled or spoke gently, Chloe felt spooked. You don't have to worry about me. Is there anything else? If there's nothing else, please go back. I'm going to bed. Chloe didn't want to continue the conversation with Lynn. However, Lynn did not seem to have any intention of leaving. Instead, she curled her fingers lightly. Chloe's baby photo flew towards Lynn. That scene was like a supernatural film. Lynn held up the photo, looked at it, and then looked at Chloe. Not bad. The little guy looks a lot like you. Even though he's not that good looking, he's quite decent. It must have been past your due date, right? Is it any of your business? Of course. Lynn, you can either let me go or kill me. What are you doing by putting me under house arrest like this? You even put Dad and Fiona under house arrest. You're a monster. Miss Chloe, don't say it. Messiah knelt on the floor and kept tugging at Chloe's skirt, reminding her not to anger Lynn like this. It's okay. Let her talk. I'm willing to listen. Lynn waved her hand. She didn't seem to mind Chloe's vicious words. Lynn, you keep saying that you care about me, your biological daughter, and your grandchildren. Then let me go. Let Daddy and Fiona go too. If you're willing to stop, I believe they'll forgive you. The 4 of us can live well together. Give up on your fantasy over immortality. Can you do that? Chloe didn't expect Lynn to give up on her career with just a few words, but she also wanted to give it a try. It was better than nothing. Lynn was not so stubborn. She might really be willing to give it a try and accept her, even though she was really unlikable. Go on, go on. Lynn looked at Chloe with interest, wearing a smile that no one could see through. Chloe pointed at the baby photo. He's a young life. He was about to be born safely, but because of the psycho you created, Layla, who caused an explosion in Yunnan, he and I almost died. Look at you. You could even try to kill your own daughter. I don't think there's a mother like you in the world. I used to think that Dad loved you so much. You should be a very good woman. In my and Fiona's memories, you're perfect. You wouldn't be something like this now. Chloe, what do you think is the most important thing in your life? Money, status, ability, power? Lynn asked. No. In my life, family is the most important. But they will die eventually. Once they die, what will you have left? People are born with a limited lifespan. Sooner or later, they will die. So will I. Isn't this a very normal thing? But what if Mom can keep you alive forever? Is this what you mean by immortality? Chloe asked, still finding it ridiculous. Chloe, ask Messiah. How old is she? Lynn looked at Chloe and then at Messiah, who was kneeling on the ground. Chloe tilted her head and looked at Messiah. Aunt Messiah, how old are you? Chloe trusted this maid a little. Over the past few days, she realized that she was actually a gentle person. Messiah dared not speak. Her fingers trembled. Tell her the truth, Messiah. It's okay. She'll find out sooner or later. Miss Chloe, I was born in 1836. After Messiah said this, Chloe burst out laughing. Aunt Messiah, stop it, okay? Miss Chloe, I'm not joking. You were born in 1836, so this is 2017. Doesn't that mean you're already 181? Chloe thought it was funny. But as she laughed, she felt that something was wrong. Messiah and Lynn were not amused. They looked at her very seriously. Chloe, do you think it's funny? But this isn't a joke. Whether you believe it or not, this is the truth. That's impossible. Humans have the longest lifespan, and according to the Guinness records, the oldest is only 140 years old. How can you be 181 years old? And you don't look like one at all. There aren't any wrinkles on your face. Aunt Messiah looks like she's only 40 years old. Chloe immediately denied it. Miss Chloe, I swear on my life that I'm telling the truth. If I lie to you, I'll die a horrible death. Aunt Messiah, I've always trusted you. You can't lie to me like that. I'm not a 3-year-old kid. Chloe, Messiah didn't lie to you. When I found her, she indeed looked like 39 years old. She was almost beaten to death by her black husband when he got drunk. I saved her, so she's been following me ever since. Wait, haha, you said you saved her? Chloe sneered. Lynn nodded. Which year? 1875, Lynn and Messiah said in unison. Messiah continued, I will never forget that summer of 1875. I thought I was dying. When Finn smashed my head with a beer bottle, I felt pain all over my body, and there was blood all over the floor. It was Master who saved me and helped me kill Finn. So, Lynn, how old are you? Chloe could almost hear her own heartbeat. Messiah said she was born in 1836, and she was 181 years old. Lynn saved the 39-year-old Messiah in 1875. Then came the frightening question. How old was Lynn? After Chloe asked her question, Messiah didn't dare to say anything. She glanced cautiously at her master, wondering what her intentions were. Was she willing to tell Chloe her real age? Lynn only paused for 5 seconds. Then she smiled at Chloe. Chloe, I was born in 1665. Ha, so you're 352 years old this year? Chloe laughed. It was the funniest thing she had ever heard in her life. Lynn did not speak. Chloe continued. Lynn, don't tell me you're from the ancient dynasty. Did you transmigrate to the modern era? You read too many novels, Chloe. I didn't transmigrate here. I've lived for this long. Master, there's too much information. Let's tell Miss Chloe slowly. I'm afraid she won't be able to handle it if she suddenly hears this. Messiah seemed to be concerned, but Lynn was calm. Chloe is smart. She'll know what's going on once she thinks about it. Chloe looked at them and smiled. Are you done with your story? I'm going back to bed. Then, Chloe walked towards her room. Chloe! Lynn suddenly called out to her. Chloe stopped in her tracks. Chloe. I was indeed born in 1665. In 1665, which is the Kingxi Year 4 recorded in history, on the 2nd day of March, I was born in a manor near the capital city. I was the only child in my family because my brothers and sisters before me died within a month after birth. In order to save my life, my parents, your grandparents, carried me to a nearby Taoist temple and begged the famous Taoist priest to write me a talisman to save my life. Lynn, your story is ridiculous. I don't want to hear it, Chloe said scornfully. Lynn smiled faintly at Chloe's disrespect and contempt. Chloe, if you think it's ridiculous, then just listen to it as a story. I remember the year I was born. It was 1665 BC. Your grandmother told me that in March of that year, there was a large-scale earthquake near the capital city. At that time, technology wasn't so advanced yet, and everyone was terrified and afraid. The sturdy city walls collapsed in several places. At the same time, a violent storm struck, and the walls collapsed. Everyone fled. Even Emperor and Empress retreated to the suburbs and lived in tents that were temporarily set up. They were afraid that there would be aftershocks. In that era, people were always superstitious. After I learned a lot from my master at the Taoist temple, I learned that it was actually because the rulers of the dynasty had killed people like flies and committed too many sins. They slaughtered people inhumanely. That was why a disaster descended upon them. However, it was just the commoners who had suffered. Lynn, if you were really born in 1665, then you are over 300 years old now, and you are still alive. And you did not age either. Then, may I ask if you are a monster? Did you eat the flesh of people, or did you eat the longevity pill that was buried? Chloe thought it was ridiculous, so she asked the question in a mocking tone. Lynn smiled again. However, she did not continue this topic. She gently placed the photo in her hand into Chloe's. She wondered if it was a psychological effect. Every time Chloe touched Lynn's finger, she would feel a bone-piercing coldness. There was absolutely no warmth in her body. Therefore, Chloe once suspected that Lynn was a clone. She was not the original person. After coming here, she had seen too many unexpected events. Even Andrew, who had been blown to pieces, was revived by Lynn. What could a monster like her not do? Chloe held the photo and lowered her head, not looking at Lynn. She hated seeing her face. Chloe, I don't think the baby will be inside for long. Mommy is looking forward to the arrival of my grandson. Haha, are you hatching an idea on my child again? Chloe sneered. How can you think of your mother like this? I really like this baby. Chloe didn't want to argue with Lynn, so she went straight into her room and slammed the door. Outside the door. Master, you told Chloe everything. Messiah probably didn't expect it to happen so suddenly. Her master had told her everything. Messiah had even forgotten how long she had lived in this world with her master. Everyone wants to live forever. After Chloe comes around, she'll beg me for it too. After all, no one wants to die or grow old. But we can keep changing our male partners, right? Lynn laughed sinisterly, then left. In the city, Jack was waiting in Granny's and Liz's room for the spiritual worm. He had thought that it would be something earth-shattering. When Granny walked out with a black box the size of a matchbox, Jack realized that he had been overthinking things. It wasn't as ridiculous as it seemed on TV, and it wasn't as creepy as it was written in supernatural novels. Chin, sit cross-legged. Yes, Granny. In a while, I will place the spiritual worm in your body. No matter how painful or uncomfortable it is, don't move. The Connected Hearts spiritual worm has very little guts. I'm afraid that if you move too much, you will scare it away. And once it enters your body and runs out, if it sees the light, it will turn into ashes. And I only have one with me after so many years, so this opportunity cannot be lost. Unexpectedly, even though Granny was old, her thoughts were logical and her words were extremely clear. Jack nodded and sat down with his legs crossed. Dawson. Please go ahead, Granny. Close your eyes. Yes. Jack completely trusted her and closed his eyes. Then, he sat cross-legged on a mat on the living room floor. The mat was filled with densely packed runes and symbols. Liz, bring me some water, Granny instructed, and then Liz brought out a bowl of clear water. Granny held a talisman in her hand. She did not light it with any kind of tool. The yellow talisman burned itself in her hand. Then Granny simply poured the ashes of the talisman into the clear water. Strangely, the water did not look dirty at all. It was still a bowl of clear water. Liz had seen her grandmother casting spells before, so she was not surprised. She just watched from the side without looking away. "Liz, go into the room." "Grandma, I should learn from you too. After so many years, this is the first time I've seen the connected heart spell." The little girl seemed to be very interested in these metaphysics. "No, go inside. It's enough to have me as the only witch in the family." "Liz, don't take the same path as Grandma," the old woman scolded sternly. Liz pouted and returned to her room unwillingly. "Dawson, drink this bowl of water." The old woman handed Jack a bowl of water. Jack closed his eyes and drank the water without hesitation. At this point, Jack knew better than anyone that he shouldn't use people he did not trust. Since he had chosen to believe in Granny, he must not hesitate anymore. The old lady liked Jack's courage. After Jack drank the water, his body began to change subtly. His entire body was emitting a kind of heat. In an instant, it rose to reach a high temperature. It was as his body was having a high fever of 38.9 degrees Celsius. However, he remained silent and waited with his eyes closed. The old lady slowly opened the small black box. As she chanted, she took out a dagger and slit Jack's left wrist. Blood immediately flowed out. 5 seconds later, a little red worm crawled out of the black box. Its body was transparent, as if the red liquid inside was swaying along with it. It was extremely creepy. The old lady continued chanting. Jack remained still. The little red worm crawled towards Jack's wrist, following the blood trail. Then, it crawled into the wound that had just been cut by the dagger. In that instant, the pain was excruciating. Jack felt a heart-wrenching pain in his arm, but he didn't move. He kept Granny's words in mind. After the spiritual worm entered, the old lady took out a yellow talisman and sealed the wound. Then, she continued chanting. Jack could even feel something crawling up his left arm. Every step was an unforgettable pain. Gradually, beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. The entire process lasted about 20 minutes. Just as Jack thought he was about to pass out from the pain miraculously disappeared. "Dawson, you can open your eyes now." Upon hearing Granny's words, Jack slowly opened his eyes. He instinctively looked at his left wrist, which had just been cut by a knife. He could not believe his own eyes. The wound had disappeared as if nothing had happened. As for his body, it was no longer burning with high temperature. It had returned to its normal state. "Granny, this—" "The spiritual worm has already entered. I'll cast the spell to find your wife. You might have to suffer a little longer." "It's okay, I'm not scared." Jack nodded firmly. "Liz, come out!" Granny called out to her granddaughter again. "Grandma, help Grandma with this." The old lady pointed to a huge world map on the ground. Liz spread out the map and held it up with both hands. The old lady took out her dagger again and looked at Jack. "When I start to chant the incantation, close your eyes and think about your wife's appearance and all the happy times you and your wife shared. In short, it must be everything about her. And the stronger the thought, the stronger the power." "Mm-hmm." Jack nodded excitedly. He could sense that Chloe wasn't far from him. "It will still hurt a little. You have to bear with it." "I can do it. Don't worry, Granny." This pain was nothing compared to the pain of losing Chloe. Therefore, Jack could endure any physical pain. Then, Granny started chanting again. She cut open Jack's left index finger. Then, it was as if he was possessed as his fingers wandered around the world map. Blood kept seeping out. Liz didn't dare to move the map as Jack pointed at the map uncontrollably. He knew that it was not his own strength moving it, but the spiritual worm's guidance, regardless of the pain spreading through his body. He focused on Chloe and everything he had with her. It happened for a complete 5 minutes. Finally, his finger paused at a spot and stopped. No matter how much the old lady chanted, his fingers never moved away. "Grandma, it should be completed," Liz reminded her softly. Then, the old lady stopped chanting. She opened her eyes. She saw Jack's finger leave a 6-petal bloodstain on the spot. "It's here. Dawson, you can open your eyes now." Excited, Jack opened his eyes and looked at the map, with a slightly serious expression. He never thought that Chloe would be in such a place. Inside Justin's personal villa. Justin was drinking his beer and watching the NBA All-Star competition. Melody called at this time. Seeing that it was her, Justin picked it up. "President Cooper?" "Yeah." "Did you get the company to send me the money?" "Yeah." "Why did you do that?" Melody's emotions were complicated when she saw the $5 million deposit notification. She knew how many losses Justin would suffer if she suddenly announced that she was leaving the entertainment industry. Therefore, how could she ask for any remuneration? Perhaps it was not even enough to pay the penalty? "It's not a small amount. You should stop while there's still some." Haha, I've deducted the rest. All this is for your retirement," Justin said jokingly. But Melody almost wanted to cry hearing his words. Her voice was a little choked up. "President Cooper, why are you so nice to me? I'm not worth it. Really, I'm just a person who gave up halfway. Whatever about dreams and persistence, they don't describe me at all. Stop crying. It's almost New Year. It's not auspicious. Hurry up and buy some New Year's goods for your parents, some new clothes to be filial to them." "President Cooper, thank you." Melody held back her tears. After returning to Kyoto, she missed Justin almost every day. However, she knew that once she took this step, she would never be able to go back. Melody knew that Justin was the one who had decided to send this huge sum from the Imperial Star. $5 million wasn't a lot for Justin. It wasn't enough to buy a big house in Kyoto. However, for Melody's family, it was a large sum of money, and they could do many things. The moment she received the money, she even imagined asking her parents to sell the small house in Kyoto. With this huge sum of money, the three of them could go to a small coastal city in the southeastern region and buy a sea view house with a terrace. Then, she would open a blissful food stall downstairs with her parents and cook some of Kyoto's special bites, selling them to all kinds of people. Her wish for many years was easily fulfilled by Justin with a huge sum of money. "What are you thanking me for? I'm an evil capitalist, and I've earned a lot from you." Justin couldn't take the compliments and refused to admit his kindness. "Don't say that. You're like a cooked duck who has a stubborn mouth." "Damn, you are calling your ex-boss a duck. Give me back the $5 million. Melody immediately broke into a smile. No, I won't return it. Now that the money is in my hands, if you still want to take it back, dream on." "All right, that should be the way. It's the new year. You should smile more. You look so beautiful when you smile. Justin, if you can't get a wife and I can't get married..." Justin cleared his throat and waited for her to continue. He had originally thought that Melody would say, "When the time comes, you can marry me." However, this lady changed the topic. "Why don't we become sworn siblings? We can form a pair called difficult brother and sister." Melody smiled and said. Justin was speechless. Shouldn't the one without a wife and the other who can't get married marry? This was what Justin had read in romance novels. So what the hell was with becoming sworn siblings? Haha, it's your wishful thinking. Who wants to marry you? You've been picking up girls all these years. While you were young, you were so cocky. When you become older, your kidneys probably won't function anymore. I don't want to... Justin was speechless. Damn, is that something a young girl like you should say? How embarrassing. Justin sweated. In any case, I have a lot that I don't like about you. Stupid girl. Don't let me catch you or I'll knock your head off, Justin teased. Come on, you're welcome to knock on my head. I've been feeling itchy lately. Maybe I'm asking for a beating. Come and try me. Melody was completely provoking him. Initially, Justin wanted to chat with Melody more since she was a nice person. After she left, Justin didn't want to treat her with a cold attitude. However, Jack's call forced him to end his call with Melody. Upon seeing Jack's call, Justin's expression became serious. Melody, I shall end the call. I have something to do. Okay, let's talk later. Melody hung up happily, but she didn't know that this was her last contact with Justin. From then on, Melody could never contact Justin again. She regretted it countless times later. Why didn't she just shamelessly say a few more words to Justin? She really had a lot to say to Justin. Jack. After Justin hung up on Melody, he quickly picked up Jack's call. Justin, where are you? Home. Then wait for me. I'll be right there. Then, Jack hurriedly hung up. However, based on Justin's understanding of Jack, he had something important to tell him. It took Jack more than 10 minutes to drive from Granny's house to Justin's. It was really a speedy ride. No one knew how excited he was right now. At Justin's villa, Justin was shocked when he opened the door for Jack. You came so quickly. Were you near my house? No. So where did you come from? Gan Road. Did you fly here? Justin was shocked. Jack didn't give him much time to react and pushed the door open. Where's the study room? Jack asked. Second floor. Justin pointed upstairs, and Jack went straight up to the second floor. Justin followed behind Jack with a confused look on his face. He had no idea what Jack was up to. Anne was also confused. However, he knew that Jack had something important to discuss with Justin. Therefore, this fellow did not dare to follow them. Jack pushed open the study room door and walked in to find a piece of paper and a pen. Justin didn't understand at first. When he saw what Jack wrote on the paper, he suddenly understood. Jack didn't want to use any electronic devices to communicate with him. Justin quickly closed the door. It seemed like Jack's matter was very important. Otherwise, it wasn't possible that he didn't even trust the anti-eavesdropping equipment. After Justin closed the door, he quickly returned to the table. He saw Jack writing on a piece of paper, I found Mian. Just as Justin was about to speak, he suddenly remembered this special way of communicating. He quickly picked up her pen and asked, Where is she? Jack wrote down a string of English words and drew a map himself. Justin was shocked. No way. That place isn't suitable for humans to live in. The environment is so bad. How could it be? It's definitely here, Jack wrote. Then let's go find her. What do I need to do? Justin wrote. Jack picked up his pen and replied, You need to go to this place as a traveler, and then find out what's going on there. I'll find a way to distract the people watching us, and then I'll go find you. Sure, I'll set off immediately. Even on the fastest, it'll take at least 20 hours. Justin looked at the place Jack drew. He had never been there before. To the north of the Earth, the northernmost tip. That mysterious Arctic glacier that was said to not have any sunlight for months. Jack wrote again, Remember what I said. Keep in touch with me at all times. Don't cause alarm to the enemy. Be careful. I know. Just like that, the two men wrote one after another in the study room. Although the method of writing was ancient and clumsy, it was true that no matter how sophisticated and advanced a weapon was, they could not be eavesdropped on. It was a good idea. Half an hour later, Jack walked out of the study room and left Justin's house in a hurry. Justin hurriedly packed his luggage and set off with Anne to the location Jack had drawn. Justin was a person who didn't like to waste time. Every time he went out, he would be in a rush. However, this time, he unexpectedly went home before going to the airport. He specially bid farewell to Mrs. Cooper, his mother. It was almost New Year, and Mrs. Cooper was hanging some red lanterns with the servants at home. Mrs. Cooper was very happy that her son had suddenly returned. Justin, you're back just in time. Come on, your calligraphy is great. Write this word character for me. I want to hang it up. Mrs. Cooper smiled and held her son's hand. If it was in the past, Justin would promise, There's one for $10 at every small wholesale market, yet you're asking me to write one. Isn't that troublesome? However, he didn't this time. Obediently, he picked up the brush and the red paper his mother had prepared. Then, he wrote a character seriously and properly. It had to be said that Justin's calligraphy looked very nice, and his strokes were strong. Mrs. Cooper smiled and held her son's arm. She was very happy. Our Cooper is so big now. I ask you to write me this character every year, but you refuse every time. This year, I've finally fulfilled my wish. It's so nice. When your dad and grandpa come back, I'll show it to them. They will be so happy. Happy New Year, Mom. Justin held his mother's face and kissed her on the forehead. The sudden kiss surprised Mrs. Cooper. What are you doing? Are you happy today? Did you drink too much? Mrs. Cooper thought that her son was drunk, so she grabbed his clothes and smelled his body. Justin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mom, I didn't drink. I really didn't. Wait, why are you so obedient today? You haven't been this obedient since you were 6 years old." Justin was speechless. "Madam, our boss is going somewhere. He's here to bid you farewell." Anne was too big-mouthed, and Mrs. Cooper's smile immediately disappeared. "You're going somewhere?" Mrs. Cooper questioned her son with a dark expression. "Yes." "It's almost the new year. Why are you still running around?" "Mom, I'm going on a trip with a few big clients from North America. It concerns my multi-billion-dollar business." Justin fabricated a lie. "You only have your eyes on the money, just like your dad. Our family hasn't stopped and celebrated the new year for a long time. Justin, can't you stay?" Mrs. Cooper's eyes were filled with a grievance, just like a little girl's. Justin's heart ached a little, but he also knew that saving Chloe was important, so he could not mention it to anyone. Therefore, and thought that Justin was really going to the North Pole to have fun. He did not know the purpose of this trip. "I really can't. Mom, I promise you. I'll try my best to rush back early." Mrs. Cooper didn't say anything, but she was clearly unhappy. Justin continued to coax his mother as he put his arm around her shoulders. "Mom, I'll buy you some nice clothes, dresses, and necklaces when I come back." "I don't want them," Mrs. Cooper retorted. "Then I'll bring you a beautiful daughter-in-law." "I'll accept that," Mrs. Cooper quickly said. "Haha, you're really greedy." "You said it yourself. You are going to bring me a pretty daughter-in-law. I think Melody is pretty good. I called her and she said she went overseas for filming. I thought that she wouldn't have time to go home for the new year, or come to our house. It's a good opportunity for your grandfather and father to take a look at her and give some advice." It was obvious that Mrs. Cooper liked Melody very much. However, Justin didn't say that Melody had already returned to Kyoto, left Imperial Star, and left the entertainment industry. Firstly, he wasn't sure if Melody had said those words out of anger or if she was really leaving. He was afraid that if he announced it, she won't be able to come back in the future. Secondly, Kira had a new film to be released, and Imperial Star couldn't have any negative news. Therefore, Justin decided to announce it after the new year. "President Cooper, it's almost time." Anne looked down at his watch and rushed Justin in a low voice. Justin held his mother's hand reluctantly. "Mom, don't be angry. I'll come back to celebrate New Year with you and eat dumplings." Go, come back early, be safe." "For sure. Justin?" "Yeah?" "Remember to come home early." Mrs. Cooper had said this back when Justin was going for Army service. Now, she said it again. What she didn't know was that this time, Justin could never come back. When Justin left home, he had no idea what he was going to face. He just suddenly felt that since it was almost New Year, he should greet his mother before going out. After leaving home, Justin and Anne went straight to the airport. Justin was super rich, so it wasn't unusual for him to travel anywhere. The journey to the North Pole was very troublesome because there were very few people there. Other than explorers, very few tourists would go there. Justin trusted Jack completely. He knew that since Jack knew the location, it shouldn't be wrong. Therefore, without hesitation, he embarked on the journey to find Chloe. Before boarding the plane, Justin contacted Jack to confirm that he was on his way. Jack then went to the secluded mansion. After being controlled, Layla became much more obedient. Jack looked around and didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Only then did he go home in peace. Then, he contacted Riker and Legend. All the influences had gathered at the underwater palace in the North Pole. Lynn had been monitoring Jack, which was why he didn't go to the North Pole himself. He must go to the North Pole. However, Jack was waiting for the perfect opportunity. Late at night, Jack sat in his study room again. This time he wasn't sad or reminiscing. Jack touched his chest. He knew that after being under the connected heart spell, his life was connected to Chloe's. If Chloe died, he wouldn't survive himself. Although this method was very selfish and people would say that he didn't care about the children's feelings, Jack knew that he lived his entire life for Chloe. So what if he was selfish once? "Chloe, we should be able to meet soon. You and the child have to wait for me." Jack's voice was surprisingly gentle. He knew that all of this was not far away. No matter what Lynn's goal was, they had to end it eventually. At the Undersea Palace, Lynn sat down in her chair with her long dark hair hanging loose. "Messiah, what did you say about Layla?" "Master, Miss Layla is under someone's control, and her contact with us has been cut off. What about the spies that were arranged there? We can't contact them anymore. We don't know where they are, Messiah replied. Haha, Jack sure is capable. I'm also very curious. Miss Layla is so powerful. How did they subdue her? Logically speaking, they shouldn't be able to lock her up. Miss Layla wouldn't be influenced by anesthesia either. I just can't figure it out. Messiah had always thought Layla was one of Lynn's most powerful test subjects. She thought that Layla was going to accomplish something great, but she didn't expect that Layla would be taken down so easily. It was really shocking. Lynn was not surprised. She smiled. You guys are underestimating Jack. If he wasn't that capable, Chloe wouldn't have followed him so devotedly and disobeyed me. Master, what should we do now? Should we save Miss Layla? Save her? She's just a piece of trash. As expected, Lynn had no feelings for Layla. Upon hearing that Jack had subdued her, Lynn decided to give up on this chess piece, instead of wasting manpower to save her. But Master has put a lot of effort into Miss Layla over the years. If she's gone just like that, it's quite a pity, Messiah said. These are no longer important, Messiah. The most important thing now is to get old Wagner to hand over the Red Demon. It seemed that the Red Demon was the most important to Lynn. Lynn had even deliberately sacrificed Layla and more pawns for this thing. Master, I think we should let Miss Chloe meet the professor alone. You mean? Lynn looked at Messiah and seemed to understand her thoughts. My intention is simple. Give them a chance to meet and let them know your intentions. Even if they agree not to hand over the Red Demon, Master can remind the professor that Chloe is about to give birth and Miss Fiona's life is about to be frozen. Is he really willing to lose his 2 daughters and grandchildren? Then I might as well threaten old Wagner, Lynn laughed. I think it's better to be reasonable. What if the professor gets agitated by your threat? If he destroys the Red Demon, won't our plan fail? That makes sense, Messiah. You're getting smart. It's not that I've become smarter. It's just that I can see that the professor still has feelings for you, and Chloe isn't a heartless person. Yeah, let's do it your way. All right, I'll carry it out now. Hold on, Lynn shouted. Messiah turned around. Send someone to keep an eye on Jack. I'm afraid he's up to something. Yes, Master. It was ironic that Lynn, who had always thought of herself as a god, who was not afraid of anything and could even manipulate Professor Wagner, was worried about Jack. She was afraid that he would pull some tricks. With Lynn's approval, Messiah specially arranged for Chloe to see her father again, in a room with white ice and mirrors. Chloe sat there quietly with her protruding belly. She experienced a very strange phenomenon recently, which was that she had not been dreaming for a long time. Ever since she came to this place, she had rarely dreamt of anything. It seemed like every day passed in a blur. The fact that the child had not moved made her increasingly uneasy. It had already been more than 10 days. After a few more days, it would be trouble if it had turned 20 days. She had been a gynecologist for so long, but she had never seen anyone give birth so late. Usually some children would suffocate in their mother's womb after a few days. Some had umbilical cords around their necks. Sometimes Chloe would wake up in the middle of the night and touch her stomach. As for the little guy, he would respond to his mother's touch and move lazily. This way, Chloe would feel much more at ease. As she was lost in her thoughts, the door opened. The professor was wearing a dark gray shirt and his hair was gray. Dad? Chloe quickly got up. The professor nodded. You guys chat first. Just call me if you need anything. After Messiah sent the 2 of them into this secret room to meet, she carefully left. Dad, how are you? Did that woman threaten you? Chloe quickly asked the professor. Lynn didn't threaten me. Dad, I'm telling you, that woman is crazy. Did you know? She told me yesterday that she's not human, that she was born in 1665, that she's more than 300 years old, that she's immortal. Chloe told him all the information. The professor listened quietly. 10 minutes later, Chloe finished everything in one breath. Then she held the professor's hand and asked excitedly, Dad, do you think Lynn is crazy? The professor remained silent. Dad, say something. What should we do now? We can't stay here forever. Chloe was anxious. Chloe, how trustworthy do you think Lynn's words are? The professor asked. Thanks for tuning in to the Cool Audio Podcast. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a fellow story lover. Until next time, stay cool and keep listening.